thank you all for joining us for the sessions this afternoon, and one of our favorite topics at Parks Associates, really talking about the home security space. And we have a great session focused on the trends and transformation, but I don't think my clicker is working. Oh, there we go. Okay, so just a quick reminder, we are hosting a networking reception this evening at Treasure Island, if you'd like to join us in the Treasure Island Ballroom at 5:30. And again, a huge shout out to our sponsors of the event. Without their support, we wouldn't be hosting Connection Summit. This is our 19th year to partner with CTA for this conference. I'm Elizabeth Parks. I'm the president and CMO of Parks Associates, and I really welcome you to these sessions today to understand more about what's happening in the home security space. Just a few things that we're going to be talking about: the reality of devices versus systems, how the installation is being simplified for security solutions, and the impact of artificial intelligence on the experience, as well as where is the next stream of revenue. So big topics that we're going to focus on. I'm going to start here and just show a couple of slides so you all can see a little bit more about the different players in the market and the solutions that they're offering. The market has expanded beyond just security systems, and now we are looking at devices in play with attached services. We also have self-monitoring as a possibility. There's paid security services without pro monitoring, and there's also the installation side of the business with DIY and self-install. Currently, 32% of all households in the United States, or about 40 million households, are paying for some kind of security service. And if you were to break that up, you'd see that's 25% are attached to a security system, 7% of these services attached to a security device. And this is a pretty important point that we'll be talking about. As we move into 2025, companies in the security solutions market are really going to be looking at different technologies to enhance the offering. Across the board, interoperability becomes much more important as consumers are looking to attach devices to existing systems and connect those different devices together through a centralized controller. We also see automation and routines being in demand from consumers, and obviously the big topic of AI and machine learning, all of the data that is being captured, and ultimately looking for more and more RMR, or recurring monthly revenue. So today we're going to be talking about this. We've got an amazing group here of speakers representing really transformative companies in the industry, who some have been around for 150 years and some of who are newer to the scene. And so we're going to start off with quick introductions from each speaker and then get into our discussion. So Tim, we'll start with you. If you would, please introduce yourself and Allegion.
Hi, everybody. Tim Eskew. I'm director of our residential electronic product portfolio, so I have responsibility for all of our smart lock products, as well as all the systems that back them up, our cloud platform, as well as our mobile app. Based in Indianapolis, and have been with Allegion just about 3 years now.
Okay, thank you. Abe, welcome.
Sure. Abe Kinney, Senior Director of Product Management, and I am involved with all of our hardware partner integrations, as well as little bits of security and product strategy across the board. So Alarm.com's a professional security software platform, so we integrate devices from our partners. I see many of you in the audience as well, and then put it all together for the professional security path. You saw kind of Elizabeth lay out there. So really excited to talk about where we're headed in the future today.
Great, thanks for being here, Abe. Leah, go ahead.
Oops, I think we're a little out of order here. Hi, everyone. I'm Leah Page. I'm Senior Vice President of Product Strategy and Innovation for ADT. ADT, the security company, you probably have seen the yard signs in either your yard or your neighbor's. We've been around for about 150 years offering residential security, so nice to see everyone here.
Great. Welcome, Leah. And Keith Puckett, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm Keith Puckett, co-founder and CEO of Ubiety Technologies. About 5 years, not 150. But Ubiety, the brain behind what we've built is an artificial intelligence engine that can sense, categorize, and identify people based on the devices they're carrying. Really, the emphasis there in security is situational awareness and how to provide really information to all stakeholders, right? The homeowners, the monitoring partners, law enforcement, and really give folks a true understanding of what's happening in the home. Folks that should be there and folks shouldn't be there. Our aim is to identify them based on the RF signaling off of their devices.
Okay, great. So I want to start the conversation just talking about the changed landscape and what we've seen over the past few years. And so, Tim, I'm going to start here with you. Can you characterize some of what we're all seeing in the industry as more and more devices are coming into market for consumers at home versus the systems play?
Sure. Kind of when I was thinking about this question, we were talking about it this last week in our pre-meeting. I started out with my first smart home device back about 15 years ago. I had a really simple desire to control my Christmas tree lights during the holidays with a schedule, so I didn't have to worry about turning it on and turning it off. That really put me on this journey of different smart home devices, and with us now at Allegion or Schlage with our smart lock products, one of the things that I think about with people using our products is they're really solving a need that they have with their home. For us, with the products that we make that have Wi-Fi connectivity or other technologies like Z-Wave, we bring in the ability for people to do very simple things like set up an access code for their children to use when they come home from school and not have to keep up with keys and things like that. So making life easier for people is really what I've seen help transform and grow the smart device industry. So people can use devices like our smart locks or security systems, doorbells, things like that, all stand alone, get tremendous benefit from them. But then, as we talk about later in this session, how we can then go a step beyond that and integrate devices with other things to create these even broader experiences. But starting out really with a base experience with just solving a particular need is where, most people start their smart home journey.
And so a lot of that really is focused on a point solution, right? There's one thing it's doing versus an entire system that may be doing a number of different things. We do know that consumers, one of the top reasons why they're buying a home security system is to attach different devices to them and then have a central controller along with the app. So Keith, I want to see if you can share a little bit from your perspective of how the market has shifted here over the past few years as we see more and more consumers looking to individual devices for security, but then also what's happening for the systems play.
Yeah, when I think about security, to us, we really wanted to provide software that could be deployed on existing systems. Originally, that was the thinking. How can we make an existing system smarter with our software and then use our artificial intelligence engine to create real-time, high-caliber inferences, like what's happening in the home? That still, to me, feels like a really interesting opportunity. I think the market has shifted from heavy hardware plays to things that can give homeowners, at the end of the day, the value is voice of the customer. What does the customer want? Like, I think they think less about, does this need to be a big system? Does this need to be a device? It's more like, is this solving a problem I have? And so from a hardware standpoint, we like being able to empower and unlock value from existing hardware plays. I would also argue that, or posit that home security and like the smart home are on this. If they haven't collided, they are going to collide soon. You know, we've been working in adjacent markets that are opening up the market for us in such an extraordinary way. We've been working with a strategic partner called Evolution Digital that provides hardware equipment to mixed signal operators and ISPs. And I think that we'll start to see awareness, security, and value creation for the homeowner come together in a really nice, seamless way.
Yeah, really interesting comments, especially about layers of value as a result of software enabling hardware to do different things. Leah and Abe, let's get some of your perspective as traditional professional monitored security providers. And Leah, we'll start with you. How is ADT keeping up with all of the change and now potentially competing against a single device?
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's always still very much room for demand inside of the security industry for professionally installed and professionally monitored solutions. At ADT, we have a portfolio of solutions that are available for professional install as well as for self-install, which has, you know, been a major trend in the last couple of years. You know, we are seeing not only the systems and all of the devices that hook onto it. I think you said it best, Keith, when you said, you know, this collision that's really happened between smart home and security. And so we continue to think about the types of devices that we want to bring onto the system, the value, the experiences that these devices are bringing, as well as, you know, how they can help to enhance like security in the home. So, you know, we're seeing a big collision, obviously, in the last few years between video. So we, you know, have video cameras as well as video doorbells and in the home and outside of the home, and the different types of streams and experiences that can bring. Lighting's another factor, right? So they're more of a smart home, traditionally a smart home solution that, you know, can have a lot of effect on security. So if someone comes up to your front door or your back door and a light illuminates, you know, does that have a different effect on, you know, an intruder or somebody who shouldn't be in the home? And so, you know, certain use cases and things like that are certainly valuable. How we keep up, though, you know, with the devices as far as being a system-verse device, I think is just making sure that you're meeting the need of the marketplace. There'll still always be, you know, the demand that we've seen. I think it was at 55%, Elizabeth, in the latest Parks research, where there's a huge demand and continues to be demand. But they'll, you know, as new devices come on board and new experiences, people will be, you know, invited into. So we'll actually be able to reach more consumers by having these devices as part of our ecosystems and part of the broader systems. So, you know, that's essentially what we're doing and thinking about this broader marketplace and how to bring people into it as we create new devices and experiences.
And so would you characterize that we have a broader market because of the introduction of standalone devices that also could be professional monitored services?
Yeah, I certainly think that, you know, it's reaching out to folks that maybe traditionally were, you know, didn't have as much interest in like a broader system, right? So it brings them in and says, hey, there's this piece of security. There's just one video camera I'm interested in. I really like the doorbell. Oh, a smart lock has a different appeal to me, but now it brings in that security use case and becomes more interesting. And that can be a little bit of a feeder into a broader system, or it can be something that, you know, it's just a point solution that has, you know, a monitoring plan around it that can be really interesting for consumers.
Okay, and so then marketing to the modern day consumer means perhaps highlighting different types of value that these systems can provide. So Abe, I want to see if you can touch on the alarm.com perspective, perhaps as a lifestyle service company versus just professional monitored services.
Sure, and the security story is still very strong and at the center of our offering still, and it's been exciting to have the opportunity for things like video. I agree, it's grown the story where people have an awareness and they get a bit of information and they realize that may or may not answer all the questions they thought it would, and they then go looking for other solutions. Yeah, they want a lock, they want a sensor, they want a siren, they want a light, something that really complements that security story. So I think we continue to invest a lot and think about how we can scale our messaging in a number of dimensions. You know, whether you care about your front door your children, a growing family, whatever it might be. We definitely have to think about how we approach our messaging to meet those different needs. And I think from the lifestyle side, it is, Tim and I were just talking before, it's really great how the driver might initially be security, but you get the stickiness, the engagement really through the automation devices, right? You're not having to break into your house every day, but my kids couldn't even tell you where the keys to the house are. They have no idea. And I think if they, when they grow up in 10, 15 years, look to buy a house, if there's not a lock on a smart lock on the front door, they're going to think this is not a smart house. This is a dumb house, right? So I think it's getting easier and easier as the younger generations are becoming more embracing of technology to lean into those messages of lifestyle and the value added points we get with our platform.
Okay, and can you touch a little bit more on this remote video monitoring? What does that mean, and where do you see that coming into play as far as the consumer perspective goes?
Yeah, so remote video monitoring is really just taking that security story and adding the professional monitoring component onto it. So I think we're missing a little check mark in one of your things that we've started to add on just recently. So I think it's exactly that. It's one thing to have the awareness, but when you want help, you want someone to actually be addressing that problem. All the same things where we sold a professionally monitored traditional intrusion system. If you're on a plane and you get an alert, who's solving that problem? Now you can start with that with video, and then again grow from that video perspective to other things, or be happy with video alone. And really, I think that's growing the addressable market, not really so much stealing from the people that want a more robust intrusion system in their house.
Sure. Okay, and I think 2025 might be the year of locks. There is a lot that is happening around locks and making them smart and this transition. And so, Tim, tell us a little bit more about the marketing that goes along with this product and how you're appealing to customers to get them to take something out of their door that's always worked a certain way and convincing them to go with something smart and connected.
Sure. Yeah, we do think this year in particular is the year of the smart lock. We announced a couple of new products yesterday as an example. One that's bringing or will bring later this year a really fabulous experience where you don't have to have a smartphone or a watch. You just walk up to the door and it knows you and it unlocks the door automatically and seamlessly for you. And that's part of our real mantra at Schlage is to create these seamless access experiences. So part of our drive with smart lock products is to make the experience with consumers really connect with them and make access seamless for them, but also secure. That's one of the reasons why we think this year is going to be the year of the smart lock. The second thing is, as we have continued to build some of our partnerships with different platforms like an Airbnb, bringing that smart lock experience to a whole new audience is one of the other things that we see is driving people to be interested in smart locks who may never have been exposed to a smart lock. So if you go to a property that has one of our smart locks on it, when you're staying at a vacation home somewhere and really have this fabulous experience of getting in seamlessly and easily, that's really helped bring awareness of smart locks to a broader audience. You think about an average person that's or an average vacation rental property has 2 to 3 guests a month. You multiply that by how many vacation rental homes there are, that really exposes products like ours to a whole new audience, which we're really excited about as well. So those are a couple things that we see really driving this year of smart locks. And kind of the third element of that is bringing more integrated experiences with our products so that we create more value for the customers. That's integrating with partners like Alarm.com to bring new experiences to the homeowner, integrations of access with alarm systems to arm and disarm as an example, integrations with, partners like Ring to, look at a video feed from a doorbell and unlock the door if you want to, simple integrations like turning on your lights when the door unlocks when you come home. That's one of my wife's favorites. Those are a few things.
Okay, great. And yeah, and we just published some research on single-family rental homes, and we see this as a new segment of built homes where technology is really being incorporated everywhere because there's so much value to be able to access and get into the home without a key, to be able to send people, and the convenience factor. Does anybody else want to make any comments about locks? Leah, would you like?
Yeah, I'll take a little bit. So we at ADT we just launched a feature in the marketplace in Q4 called Trusted Neighbor, and essentially is a lot of the same principles that we're talking about. So it's this keyless entry where someone can walk up to the door, be recognized by the video doorbell, door unlocks, system disarms, and you're allowed to go into the home. The homeowner in that case can do it. Let's just say at an instant, like if an event was triggered and it happens then, or on a cadence, right? So I have a dog walker or somebody that needs to enter my home on a frequent basis. And so it's been interesting to sort of portray it as a use case in the marketing and things that we did in Q4. So, big part of what we did was pushing that out there, things like, huge billboard displays in Times Square and, all the way through what you're seeing on TV. But rather than talking about it as elements, like as point solutions, as a video doorbell, as a smart lock, tying it together and saying to consumers, hey, there's this use case for you to have that enables this abracadabra moment when someone walks up to your door, is recognized, door opens, the alarm is disarmed, they can enter for a period of time, and then, of course, after the exit, is rearmed and the home is back to its state. So that was exciting, and we took that as far as even going into non-security events, so things like water, which is something that's a huge use case for the home, but isn't necessarily, I say peripheral maybe to security, but allows your neighbor to go in and say turn off the water or do something in the case that there was actually a leak. So that was a big part of what we ran through Q4 and into this year, and it's been a really exciting promotion. We've seen a lot of consumers really take to the fact that it's use case based versus maybe just like point solution or talking about it as some device that's out there. It's a little less scary maybe to some to say, hey, I'm going to replace my locks, replace my doorbell and do this because now there's this ubiquitous use case that works for me.
And so all of these, what we're talking about has AI and artificial intelligence baked in pretty much everywhere. And so, Keith, I want to see if you can share a little bit more about what Ubiety is doing with the AI side of the experience for the consumer and why this matters so much when we're talking about security at home.
Yeah. So Ubiety's taken a very purpose-built, novel approach to artificial intelligence. We're not relying on any LLMs or third-party models. We developed this entirely in-house. And the thesis is, our AI engine is called Eckelberg. If you've read Great Gatsby, that's fun. But the thesis is that we spent several years building a ground truth catalog, fingerprinting catalog of how all device types communicate, unrelated to them being on the network, right? So why is that interesting? Our thesis is presence verification, right? So if someone, and I, by the way, am a big fan of cameras, so what I'm about to say is not something disparaging, but like if I have one camera on my front door and I walk in through the front door and the home says I'm home, but I walk out through my garage and I leave, am I still there? Like, our job is to persistently provide presence verification. And so we did that through radio frequency signaling. We had this pharma Faraday cages, which is these boxes that prevent signals from outside coming in, and we understood the ground truth of how every device type communicates in Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and cellular. And then we created inference engines when we see those signaling types in the wild. So the use cases are in a conventional monitoring solution. If an alarm is going off, we can tell the monitoring center within a second exactly who's there, so they dynamically change how they action the alarm event. They don't go through some rote process. They don't send a generic text out. They send exactly messages and communications to the people they know are there, just left, or just got there. Then in the anomalous version, it's like someone enters a home, like we have 5 children and there's 7 iPhones in our house. Anytime any device walks into my house that's not known to the home, I get an alert. So my 13-year-old daughter brings a friend home who has a Google Pixel, I get an alert. And I can say, Olivia, oh, hey, did you bring a friend home, right? So it's like we're trying to provide context and situational awareness, and that also manifests in, I like what you said, Leah, about use cases. It's like we drive those in use cases or product features, party detection. We can tell you if there's more people in your home than should be. We can tell you if people are there that have never been seen before. And all that's driven around AI of the home, which is we know exactly the telemetry or behavioral analytics of a home. And so anytime something anomalous happens, we're able to serve that to the homeowner.
Okay, you said a lot of really great things there, but I think summing it up, verification seems to be the key word, and we know that is critical importance for the responders, right? When a monitored alarm goes off, there is somebody, there's a dispatch, there's emergency is being called. And so, Abe, I want to see maybe if you can talk a little bit more about AI and verification, and maybe you could touch on AVS-01, explain why some of these things are so important, not just to us as individuals, but for local communities and for our first responders who are the ones going to be showing up at the door when alarms are going off.
Sure. So, maybe AI should be actionable insights. That's what we're trying to get. We're just trying to get trusted, real information out of the home at a critical time-sensitive moment, right? So whether that's AI, whether that's putting together information from 3 discrete sensors, the customer's phone and our application information and inputs from other users, we're all trying to just give the best possible story, because there's kind of been, while we have a proliferation of systems, right, most alarms are false, right? So I think we have a responsibility to keep raising the bar on the information that we're sharing upstream so that better decisions can be made for the responsible use of resources to respond to those issues. So AI is a big part of that, right? Discrete sensors used to go off. You could often look at it and look at time, history, historical actions. There's a lot of insights around likelihood of events that we bring into our interface along with video. Is there an actual person that's been detected? Where we can bring other elements of sensing from other systems, we're always happy to add that in to create that stronger picture of activity.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And AVS-01 is a important initiative where there is verification and then scoring of different alarms, and this is connecting to the ECCs, who are the ones who are getting the calls in and then making decisions about what to do based on the information at hand. And so all of this technology that's getting put into the home is built to give that group, the important context they need to decide, do we dispatch the police? Do we not? Is there fire, people that are needed out there? It becomes critical. It's also our money, right? Our tax-paying dollars are the ones funding the police and the people that are responding. And so the more that the technology companies can provide, the better off everybody is in the end as far as verified alarms go. I want to switch gears and touch a little bit on interoperability and standards, because we now have these different systems and or devices with other devices coming into play. And so, Tim, maybe give us a little bit of a view on what matters for security in the world of locks as it relates to Z-Wave, Matter, Thread, really whatever standards you want to reference here.
Thanks. So first off, from our perspective, we do like standards. We've been providing smart locks with different standards in them as those standards have evolved. We started out with Zigbee many years ago. We have also launched Z-Wave locks. That's gotten a lot of traction with security systems, which has done really well. It really helps create a a couple of things I think for the consumer. The setup experience is very much known and quantified for a consumer when they're setting up a device, or a system provider or an installer is installing the lock. Standards help create a homogeneous setup experience. So there's one thing, whether that's Zigbee, Matter, Z-Wave, the consistent experience in the setup process has been very helpful. The second thing that we like about standards is that it helps organize the information from devices like our locks into systems so that it's easy to be leveraged and used by other systems, be that an alarm system or something else that's talking to a device like our locks. As standards evolve, they tend to try and solve different things. They learn from each other. So the Matter standard is really, focused on the broad device types that are in the home, and we'll continue to come out with more device types as that standard evolves, but also creating that, again, an even better consumer experience that's secure. So I think those are the things that we see with standards at a device communications level. The other thing, too, is from a manufacturer standpoint, when we're building a product that's going to work with a standard, be that Z-Wave or Matter or another, is that we're not having to do integrations with this system and this system and this system, which adds time to the development cycle and adds cost, too. And so for us, standards are beneficial. But we still have the flexibility as a manufacturer to build our own value into our products. We tend to be known for high reliability products that last years and years and years. We also have a little bit of a flair for style and design with our products. So those are some of the things that we can still do with our products to differentiate themselves over other standard products. And the other thing, standards aren't built to do everything. And so when we build our products, we also build in other communications flexibility so that we can work with other systems that may not be covered by the standard.
Okay, great. So standards definitely matter. They're important, and does matter as one of those jokes of the year, probably. Let's talk a little bit more about Wi-Fi sensing. This is another one of these hot topics driven by all the technology that's getting built into the hardware. Abe, is that something you want to touch on?
Sure. So it's just another exciting opportunity to bring more information into our ecosystem, into the story of activity and presence in the home, and to leverage perhaps the customer's existing devices, or to bring in affordable sensing devices where instead of having to go on a room by room basis with a PIR, you could put in one or two devices and cover a floor or a house. So we see it as absolutely complementary to the existing infrastructure that we deploy. And so I think the more we can start to bring that in, layer it into maybe even some existing devices that already go in the home, it just gives us a richer picture of activity that, again, supports the story of better action, better insights, and better results from the system.
Can you share a little bit more about what the customer gets back as far as information goes when Wi-Fi sensing are there notifications that are popping up?
We treat it in our system a lot like a PIR, a motion sensor. That's what we are getting. We are getting motion. It just might be over a broader scope, like I said, multiple rooms or a floor, and then it flows into our system just like you can do anything to connect events together. So you could keep your lights on, turn your lights off if there's inactivity, trigger alerts if you all of a sudden get motion at an unexpected time. We don't yet typically pull that into the alarm infrastructure, so it's notification awareness, but something we are happy to explore, kind of thinking about it as complementary to video only, for example. There's an interesting sort of broader set of awareness with your perimeter being video, and then getting understanding about what's going on in your home at a general level without needing to deploy something from a privacy perspective that people are typically resistant to.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can add a tail onto that one too, I think just thinking about future use cases and how you would use it too, just the anomaly detection. So it's not only like the aggregation of that data, what it's telling you, if there's a combination of things that are happening, is that more powerful or tell you more about the event that's happening? But then if the same event happens every day and it doesn't happen this day, what does that mean? And so I think there's sort of the reverse, that anomaly detection, which actually adds in a flavor of AI, like we were talking about before, to understand, if something is supposed to happen and didn't, what does that mean as well for consumers?
Okay, great. Any other comments on Wi-Fi sensing? Anything? No. Okay, let's talk about where's the next set of revenue coming from. There is the recurring fees that can be charged for the professional monitored alarm, but what else are traditional companies able to charge for now beyond what they have in the past? Leah, would you like to answer that question?
The money question?
Money question.
So, I think that we have a very traditional model at ADT that revolves around residential security, and it's one that, we're understanding that consumers want choice. They want choice in the types of devices that they have in the home. They want choices on the type of monitoring, whether it's pro monitor or self monitor. And by the way, there's flavors in between that, right? So I might want just fire, or I might want just supervisory, like water and other things, or I might also just want security. And so as we explore sort of the variety of what can be offered, there are many different types of business models or recurring monthly revenues that can be associated to those. You can package it. You certainly can have different types of hardware that are associated to packages to create, new recurring models there. So that's been exciting. One other thing that we have also looked into is, how we can work and protect customers outside of the home. And so we work with companies on the in the gig economy, like Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and others. And there's revenue streams involved with embedding our monitoring services and our monitoring agent services inside of their experiences as well. And so I think that there are a lot of potential ways when we think about sort of the core of the business and, monitoring as a service and what we might do there to create now new revenue models for our business.
Okay. Keith, have any ideas where the next set of revenue is coming from?
Yeah, I think, candidly, we use Parks research to understand the motivators for what is actioning someone to make a decision to buy security. The research is phenomenal, and the majority of it is around use cases that serve a homeowner something they find valuable, right? I would argue that the fundamental value promise of a security company to a homeowner is that in the event of an alarm, you will intervene with some sort of action, law enforcement or otherwise. So that's value promise one. But if that value promise one isn't met, it's really hard to stack things on top of it. And so our view is, from work with partners, large security dealers, is engagement is what will drive folks to use a system more. So how do you get a homeowner to find value in between the alarms, or to borrow Abe's thing, in between the false alarms, right? Like you really want to create something that they say, I want to log into this app, use it multiple times a day because it's serving me something valuable to me and my family. That's it. And so when you can achieve that, you've done a thing. And I think, I will just be candid, our work has been so technical for a long time. The best decision we've made in the company is hiring an obsessed product leader who cares. She's intense about the voice of the customer. She's like, I don't want to hear about technology. That's cool. I want to see how we're going to deliver for the pain point to the customer. And so I think the customer is going to answer that question. Did I get value out of this thing? And if so, I will pay for that.
Yeah, I think that's really good points. And we also, in our research work, see security moving not just for the home environment, but actually to the person. So this idea of personal safety and extending services beyond the home. It could be the car, the vehicle, lots going on with vehicle safety, but it could just be somebody who's walking down an urban area and wants to ensure that they feel safe and are safe with the ability to have a response there. So the hardware is shifting to be able to really go anywhere, right? And that is a big difference and change that I think we're seeing over the past many years is the capabilities of technology and how much more that they can do. Abe, I want to go over to you here and just ask another question on the revenue side and understanding how you're moving customers from one tier of service to another, and being able to show that value to them to capture that next stream of revenue.
Yeah, I think most of the credit of that goes to our service providers for moving their partners up the value chain. So it's our responsibility, and we're often just thinking about how can we make a flexible, scalable security platform that then can meet whatever that new need might be. So make sure that we have consistent user experiences, consistent installer experiences. So it's easy for some new combination or permutation of security, whatever that might be, personal security, video security, fire and water security, just have all those options and then create appropriate solutions that are matched on the value and easy for service providers to deploy to new customers.
I think it's so true that people do pay for what they value, and I know many people probably have an iPhone, right, and spent $1,500 on their phone and might have thought 5 or 10 years ago I never would spend $1,500 on a mobile device, and now everybody's doing that all the time. So it's not necessarily about money, right? It's about what's important to people, and safety and security really being at the heart of it. So I want to end our discussion here with a final question, and if you could keep your comments brief. What is the adjacent area that you think is going to grow the most in 2025? And it isn't professional monitored security, is something besides that. And so, Leah, we'll start with you and go down the line.
Yeah, I think I'd like to wrap it with what we talked about a little bit earlier, devices and smart locks being a big part of that. I think that as we continue to bring experiences into the marketplace, that's what's going to really incent people to have new devices, more devices, and that stickiness factor. I think, Abe, it was you who mentioned, earlier that when you have more devices that are on a system for a consumer at home, that's more likely that they are to sort of stay with you. And so that's a big principle that we think about. And so when we think about enabling experiences, creating more devices that go with it, and the stickiness, I think that's an important part. And that starts with things like video cameras, video doorbells, and locks.
I might take a contrarian view here. I believe the router is going to emerge as the most powerful piece of equipment in the home that's going to enable a lot of things, including security or security light. I'm just seeing that market take actions in a way that suggests delivering value to homeowners, and I'm excited to be a contributor to that. I see that as a really interesting platform.
Yeah, great comment there. The network and the router are of critical importance. Very good point.
And I think I can kind of agree with everybody and think about maybe scaled security solutions that fit between maybe pro install and DIY today as we define them. So something in the middle or a little orthogonal and likely centered around, I think, video. Certainly it's an easy sell and an easy thing to initially understand, but hopefully some more creative solutions that are in between the spaces we serve today.
So hybrid, some kind of hybrid.
Yeah, I'm going to take this in a little different direction. When I think about adjacencies and as it relates to our business in terms of home access, one of the areas that we think is interesting in the new construction space is how do you make property touring easier and more seamless? And so, as we bring smart products into that, new construction market, how can we make accessing those and touring those properties easier is one of those adjacencies that I think is interesting that we'll explore as a business.
Okay, great. That will be the last word. If you would, please give a round of applause for our panelists.